Yo, what up, what up, what up? We are in the building. This is the check-in, and I am your host, Heat Detector. We got a special co-host in the building. You might have saw him on the show earlier that we did with Shy City Cypher, but we got Joshy sitting in the chair tonight. A little, you know what I'm saying, special co-host, as always.
It's your boy Jizzo, you already know.
And we always got OT, the drill sergeant.
Yes, sir. How y'all doing? How y'all doing?
Germany.
Yes, sir.
Chiming in from Germany. So,
Chiming in from Germany.
Jizzo, give them that disclaimer real quick, and then we can get this your dig started.
We definitely got to start off with the disclaimer immediately for this one. So we got a good topic today. I'll let Heat Detector give y'all the topic, man. But as always, every week, we like to give y'all the disclaimer. We are not licensed therapists. We are not licensed psychologists. We are not licensed nothing. We do have a friend of the show that is licensed. He's on the show sometimes, but we are not. We're just here, a couple of homies, man, talking about real life issues and our opinions on it, man. And when we think about it, and the beautiful thing about this show is that y'all can get in the comments as well. We invite y'all to hit the link and get on the show live with us, just the way OT is currently from out of the country. So, but yeah, man, if you got soft ass ears, if you got sugar in the tank, the way he says, man, this isn't the.
I don't say sugar in the tank.
This isn't but real talk, like on a serious tip, this isn't the show for you, bro, because you're gonna hear some shit that you might not want to hear, but it's gonna be the truth, and we're all speaking from the heart. With the goal of trying to be better, man. We always have topics throughout the weeks, throughout the months that are about us sometimes. Like, I'm not saying that this one is, but there's been shows that sometimes it's been about me, things I was going through. And just take this information and become a better, try to, you know what I'm saying, to do better as you go through your journey, man. Whatever it is that you're struggling with. A couple weeks ago, we did a topic, it was grief. Dealing with grief in many different ways. And a beautiful thing about the show is that we didn't even know that somebody that was in the audience was watching and they were dealing with the grief of losing a loved one. Yeah. And they were literally at home going through it, man. And this show just came across their feed. And they ended up on the show for the whole show, commenting, telling us how much this helped them, man, and what they took from the show. Yeah. So with that topic and today's topic and all the topics, take what you can from it, take the good out of it, man, and become a better person. And this is what we do.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, you heard what my man said, and I'm gonna say it to you like I always say it. If you got cotton candy ass ears and you dream of motherfucking bunny rabbits and unicorns and all that bullshit, get the fuck off this page right now. There will be things said. You may not like it. If you don't like it, that's okay. If you don't like it, just don't like it. You ain't got to say shit. You ain't got to do nothing. But if you don't like it also too, get the fuck off the page. This is not for the faint of heart. This is also, when I say that, I also say that because, I mean, not because, but I say that, but we do want everybody to be on, and we do want people to listen, you know what I'm saying? But sometimes these things are true, they're harsh truths. And you may hear some harsh things. You may hear some harsh words. Not may, you will. And, just to save us some hassle, save yourself some hassle, man, get the fuck off the page if that's how you feel. You know what I'm saying? But if you want to stay on, you can comment, good, bad, or indifferent. We'll post it. It's no big deal. But what we are doing is we're giving you guys our journey. Like my co-host said, we're not licensed therapists or psychologists or anything. What we're doing is giving you our journey. We're giving you our as humans, we're all have a commonality, which is we're human. You know what I mean? And we all have a specific journey. We all go through things. We all have shit in our lives. You know what I mean? And the hardest part sometimes with them shits is how to cope with them and how to deal with them. You know what I'm saying?
Quick backstory about the show for those that are first-time viewers of the check-in right now. I'll give you all a quick history. This show started off about over a year ago. And the show used to be called
about almost a year.
Almost a year. And the show was called The Sunday Sit Down with the OGs. Yeah. And it was a show, man, where, we would talk about, different topics and stuff like that. And it ended up turning into one day Heat. We had an episode, and
I was having a fucked up ass day, and I didn't want to do the show. I didn't want to do the Sunday sit down, and it was actually Jizzo and shout out to OT, my man's. and I was having a fucked up ass day, and I didn't want to do the show, and I didn't want to do shit. I was feeling real fucked up. You know what I mean? I was having, you know, I don't really want to say bad thoughts, but I was in a bad place. And we all started talking about it, and it ended up spilling over into the show, the Sunday sit down. And right that next day, I woke up and I was like, fuck, because I ended up calling it a check-in. I was like, we all need to just like check in with each other. And that was off camera. I was like, we all need to check in with each other every once in a while just to make sure we all right. You know what I mean? Because you never know what a motherfucker might be going through. That's true. And I woke up the next day and I was like, fuck that. That's the name of the show, the fucking check-in. We changing that shit. And when it's been the check-in ever since. And like I said, we take the show very serious. The show has helped me over the last 7-8 months. It's helped me dramatically deal with things and cope with shit, and even coping with my own internal shit. So, you know, shout out to you, Jizzo. Shout out to my man's OT and everybody, and D-Nick for even being a part of it as well, man, because a lot of it has helped me, man. I've cried on this motherfucking show. We've all cried on this motherfucking show, you know, because it gets that deep, you know.
And I've heard we've had to hear things that we didn't want to hear about ourselves.
Facts.
About ourselves, about situations that we're dealing with. I think that's the only way to build and ever elevate in a situation, man, is to be able to hear and accept that you aren't always doing the right shit.
Yeah.
And you gotta have a circle of brothers, man, like-minded brothers with that same energy that are gonna tell you, hey man, you're fucking up. Or they're just gonna sit there and listen to you on the phone for 30, 40 minutes while you let it out. You know what I'm saying? And so all of that is important, man.
A lot of times it's just talking. You know what I mean? Because we've been, as men, and some women too, but I would say mainly men, we've been taught a lot to like not talk, not say shit, you know, suck it up, deal with it, all that kind of shit. And the whole time a motherfucker could be dying inside, could just be really going through some shit, but smiling on the outside, but the inside it torn all the fuck apart. Before we go any further, if you're watching on Facebook, please move over to YouTube so we can see your comments, because we can't see them, and I'm not gonna during this show.
We are watching for the next few episodes as we transition into our YouTube only format. But for the moment, I am gonna be watching Facebook, but go on to YouTube. But if you don't have YouTube, whatever, stay where you're at. I will read your comments.
Yeah, but for the most part, go to YouTube. Also to hit that like and subscribe. Anyways, tonight's show is about emotional abandonment. Now, I don't know if motherfuckers even understand what the fuck that is, like, but what it is like when you feel like your partner it could be a best friend, it could be a wife, it could be a sister, it could be a mother, it could be anybody in your life that is not there for you, or you feel like they're not there for you emotionally.
From Psycho, I'm sorry, brother. From PsychCentral.com. Emotional abandonment is other people not meeting your emotional needs, leaving you feeling rejected, unloved, or painfully lonely. That was a PhD. That was Kibby McMahon on that website. So yeah, man. Let's talk about that, bro. Feeling rejected, unloved, or painfully lonely when you should have somebody there that is supposed to do that.
But should you have somebody there? No, you like it, you know. I don't know if a person should, like, I mean.
That's a good question, because, you know, the word self-esteem is how you feel about yourself. So.
You can pull that mic up if you
want.
All right,
that's good. So, like, self-esteem is about how you feel about yourself. So you can't really get mad at somebody saying, oh, you hurt my self-esteem. Like, no, you gave them the control of how you see yourself, then, you know, it's a whole different thing.
We're talking about emotional support. You know,
it's kind of like the same thing, like,
because if you're feeling like, I think if you're in a relationship and you feeling lonely, because I even myself, being in the house and feel like I'm the only motherfucker in there, because I don't feel like people are really, or at times feel like anybody's. I don't know if I necessarily want to say paying attention to what I'm going through, but are not supportive in what I'm going through, or not recognizing maybe that I'm going through something, you know, outside of me like yelling or screaming or just outright telling a motherfucker like, look, man, this is what the fuck I'm going through. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's how it should be approached. I'm not sure.
Can we ask this question? Can we ask and I would say just maybe like starting from the beginning, if there's even a reasoning for it, is someone else responsible for your You know what I'm saying? Is someone else responsible for that? You could say you
Shout
feel
out D
emotion.
Nick. D Nick in the building.
You could say you feel emotionally abandoned, and I guess it's a real thing. But like, is someone responsible for that? Should I mean, you know what I'm saying? If you're true with yourself or 100 with yourself, are other people responsible for that? Let's pose that question. D Nick, I saw you shaking your head, brother. What do you think about that, man?
Are people responsible? Just want to make sure I understand. What's up, everybody? Peace and
What's
blessings.
up? What's going on?
Are every you so just want to make sure I understand the question right, Gizzo. You
But the,
said
the
are
topic is emotional abandonment. Somebody abandoning
mhm,
you emotionally.
mhm.
And my question was, to just start from the top, is anybody really responsible for that? Is there a role that you play that would make you responsible, or are you just not responsible for that?
Man, generally, like for me, context is everything. So generally, no, no one's responsible for your happiness, or your emotional, whatever, whatever. If there's an agreed upon thing of support, then you know your if they don't uphold if they don't like hold firm to the agreement or whatever your boundaries or your get down is, then you're responsible to cut them off or you know adjust how you need to adjust. But generally speaking, no, no one's
What by agreement do
responsible.
you mean? Like, okay, let's say, oh, just off the top of my head, boyfriend, girlfriend,
Hmm.
marriage, best friends, mother, daughter, father, son, whatever. Like, isn't there like shouldn't there be an emotional responsibility for somebody if you're in either
A
a
relationship.
related relationship or non-related relationship?
Absolutely. But that's a ethical and moral question, you know,
Mm,
and that's
Ethical
all
and moral.
subjective at the end of the day.
Mhm.
right.
Hey, D Nick, before we go on, man, we talked about how we're not licensed therapists, psychologists, any of that. Can you give them your credentials? I did speak about that. I said we had a friend of the show that does come on. Can you talk about that real quick?
Yeah, I'm a licensed counselor. I won't say the company, but I do counseling for CPS, and not like I'm not a school counselor and trying to get like you to college or high school or your credits and stuff. I'm totally social
Life.
emotional, so I'm certified in suicide prevention on a basic
Prevention.
level of suicide prevention. I don't, but I'm certified in suicide prevention. I'm like with my agency, we focus on young men. I work with like only boys, sixth, seventh, and eighth graders currently, and we have a whole process of that and encouraging them integrity, accountability, positive anger expression, self determination, visionary goal setting, and respect for womanhood. And I go through all of that with them, and help them on their journey. Through the partnership of the agency and CPS when I'm not
Do
on
you
the
do
road.
you feel do you feel like
Word up.
from your experience, do you feel like you've seen kids that are suffering from emotional abandonment?
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely,
right.
absolutely. Every day, every day.
What can you explain to people what that looks like, or
Oh my God.
how it plays itself out? Because it plays itself out in behaviors. I'm sure it plays itself out verbally, probably.
D, let me add another part to Heat Detector's question. It's the same
Yeah.
thing. You talked about being certified in suicide prevention, I
Yeah.
believe it
Prevention.
was. And I'm assuming
Yeah.
like or have read about about statistics or even just how you feel personally. Do you think that a lot of the reason for suicide is because of the feeling of emotionally abandoned?
Man, I can't give a general umbrella on the reasons. It's a lot of it is it's all of the above, man. It be abandonment. It could be mental illness. It could be confusion. And one of the unsung, slept on things that people, this is deviated, but when you talk about suicide prevention, yo, man, a lot of it be confidence too. And not in the confidence, I'm not that confident. Like, yo, man, you gotta be like, you got, when someone is about to take themselves out, there is a level of confidence and clarity that they have. I can spot someone getting ready to go and make that move pretty consistently. Now, I wasn't always, but now I'm like, oh snap, because you have natural things in your body that will make you not do that. But man, if people are exhausted, and it's like, it's time to go. It's a different like level of self-loathing. It's different like when people take themselves out of it. There's just this lure of exhaustion. The closest thing I can say it reminds me of is when you see an elder getting ready to transition out of here, but they're still just hanging on, and they just be looking like, why am I still here? I'm tired. And they're just tired of suffering. They're just tired of suffering. And that's a lot of it. Like one of the things about like suicide prevention, and this is a harsh type of demo, man, them people, like, if they got it in their mind that they gonna do it, man, ain't nothing nobody can do to stop that. And that's what us as human beings that ain't there, like, we don't believe that. You won't catch it. You will not catch it a lot of times unless you're really trying to see, like, oh man, like, he's not just depressed, he's depressed and exhausted.
Right.
Right.
You just you know what I'm saying.
Tired
I
of
He's
want to go. I
depressed,
want to go.
exhausted, and
tired.
confident.
Right.
Right.
He's depressed, exhausted, and confident. It's a,
When
it's
when you
a
speak on that confidence, I think I what I gather from that is like, okay, so you get to a point where you're just like, you know what, that's it. So the confidence,
That's
because
it.
you have to be, because there's a level, your body has, or your mind, your body, or whatever, has self preservation. So it takes a level of like, yeah, this is it.
I'm tired.
This
I'm
is
ready.
it. I'm gone. I'm done.
yeah,
It takes.
yeah, yeah.
I want to.
It's
I
it,
want
it,
to. I
it
want to hit one of the comments, man. We are still watching on Facebook for the comments. But for those on Facebook, we would like you to go to YouTube. But Joshua James Hackler, he said suicide isn't always a choice. OT, what do you think
no, I
about
didn't.
that, man?
I'm gonna say it is a choice, but like we just said, once you decide, and I've had a couple of military brothers choose that route to deal with problems. But we say it's a short term solution for a long term problem, but it is a decision. Once you feel you, like we said, once you feel you tired, you get that. Okay, there ain't no other way. I done tried everything else. We talk about the abandonment. Ain't nobody else here for me, so I got to go ahead and finish this up. Uh, and we, like we said, it is a decision though,
Yeah,
and you got to be able to spot that.
Well, it's a tough decision, and to be transparent, I've had thoughts before, but there's the self preservation part that I don't know, like whenever I had those thoughts were like, all right, well, I felt like, yeah, fuck it, and then it was like, well, really? You know what I mean? And I don't know if that's like the self-preservation part, or just me not at that point where I was just like, we're that goddamn tired or whatever. But I know that the thoughts have been there before, and I know how tough that is, and I know how fucked up feeling that is, and just trying to even move forward or past that. You know what I'm saying? And then to feel like to not be emotionally supported is a heavy one as well. If you're feeling that way and you're feeling you don't have anybody there that's supportive, emotionally supportive for you to either talk to, be around, like anything really. You know what I mean? It could be really hard because the thing about it is, once you make that move, like once it's done, it's done. You know.
And I've heard people say, like, talk about, like, as far as like like the guy that jumped off of the bridge in New York. There's a documentary about that, and a lot of people go to that bridge to jump off. And he said he really wanted to do it and was decided that he was going to do it. And the moment he stepped off of that ledge, he said he instantly regretted it as soon as he jumped off and hit that water and broke probably every bone in his body. But he lived, and he lived to talk about it. And just playing back to Joshua's comment about suicide isn't always a choice. I think maybe he might have meant like 9/11. Like, we seen the people jumping out of the building and stuff like that. That was suicide, but maybe at that point you didn't have a choice. Joshua also just commented, he said, the ones who really want to do it, you would never guess that they actually would. I don't know, Joshua. D-Nick, you said that it's pretty easy to spot somebody who's about to
Well,
do that.
no, I'm
Trained,
sorry, I didn't
trained
cut
person,
you. When I say me, I'm trained in that.
trained.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I'm not saying like, and when I say confident, like, one thing about me, man, like being in working in that as a counselor and all that stuff, I'm very, very concise and direct with my words. I don't romanticize nothing. I wasn't a romantic dude like prior to. Like, I'm very, like, technical and direct about the stuff. So when I say like the confidence, like what he was talking about, like, he had thoughts, but and he's like, whoa, wait, it ain't that. Like, I've known people who physically would hurt themselves and cut, and then but
Curse. Right.
they're not going upstream. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
there's a way
Right.
to cut that'll
Speak on
take
it.
you
Speak
out
on it.
instantly. You know what I'm saying? So when I say confidence, I'm talking about it's a compile of things. You won't know. It's like when people say like, man, he was cool. He was dope, and like we was just I just talked to him, and it's because he like he or she, like, we're really building their confidence up, to where it's like, okay, everybody good, everybody's good, they'll be good, they'll be straight when I'm not here, cool, I'm out. You know what I'm saying? and
Well,
and
let's talk
and
about that.
you won't catch it, you won't always catch it. This the thing, like, but like you might say like, oh man, they're having a good moment, they having a real good moment. That might be the time when you're supposed to keep an eye out on them. Like, hey man, come here.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Hey girl, what are you doing? Come over here.
What's
Like,
going on?
because they might be exhausted. From with me, I'm like, man, if it's somebody that's already got tendencies like that, and then they're really, really exhausted,
Mm-hmm.
and they're just really confident, like, you know what? Everybody
I'm
good.
good.
They'll be checking on you. Like, how you
Right.
doing, man? How you,
Right.
you know,
Right.
like,
Yep.
that's the thing that, like, for me personally, for someone we all knew, man, blessings to Brother Mike One, like, that's something that haunts me to this day. Like, cause,
Yep.
you know, I remember everything in hindsight between, like, before his nieces that just won a martial arts competition, what's my man who just had a, was it Spartacus, I think, somebody like had an album release, and Mike was there, and Mike don't wouldn't regularly call me. Mike would never regularly call me, and he hit me up and he was like, yo, man, how's everything going, man? How's you and Microphone Misfits? And I was like, we good, man. All right, man. I see y'all moving, da 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 da, man. We gonna do something. And you know how Mike was. Mike was a little asshole. He'd be like, oh, but it's gotta be the right show. I gotta do something with y'all, but it's gotta be the right show. I ain't finna have you motherfuckers upstaging me. And then, and he got off. I got off the horn with him and was like, oh, that was random, but that was cool. But he checked in on me, and then you see that Facebook post, and then boom. You know what I'm saying?
I'll
And
never
it's like,
forget
I
where I
didn't catch
was,
it.
man, at that moment. I know you'll never forget where you were when you found
Yeah.
out about Mike, man. We all remember that, man. Chi-Town legend, Mike One, man. Rest in peace. I want to get into the comments because right now it's really active. So we're going to do some YouTube comments first, the one you just had on the screen, and then we're going to holler at everybody on Facebook right now, too. Nick Garcia said, sometimes People who commit suicide are the kindest, upbeat, soft-spoken people who appear to not have a care in the world. That's very
Peace to
true,
Bob
man.
Rock.
Bob
Peace
Yeah,
to
Rock.
Bob
shout
Rock.
out to Bob Rock, man. And we're gonna get back into the people that are supporting us on Facebook and watching the show. Joshua said, or Shadow Master. I'm sorry. Shout out to Shadow who've been watching all the shows today so far. Shadow's opinion is that it's one of the most selfish decisions anyone can make. The chaos and unanswered questions that are left behind can destroy somebody. And you're 100% right, man. Joshua, after that, he said, poor mental health is a huge contributing factor to suicide. 90% of people who commit suicide have a moment of regret. And then Shadow said, when they have made their minds up to do it, most of the times they do a farewell tour like Mike One. We were just talking about Mike, man. Shadow said that Mike came to Sub T Tuesday, 3 Tuesdays straight. I asked him what the hell's going on because this ain't true. This better not be a farewell tour. He laughed at me, and then I hear the news. And the final comment, Joshua said they're ashamed to tell people that they feel the way, and usually no one is there for them for real problems.
Emotional
The emotional
abandonment.
Emotional
abandonment,
abandonment,
right?
man. Yeah,
Or that
Mike,
feeling of
me
that.
and Mike worked 2 weeks before he passed away. We did a show to give out a opening slot for somebody, and Mike was one of the hosts along with Da Smart and with the record
Mm,
Triple Darkness. So
yeah.
yeah, it's true, man. I feel like they do come around right before. Let's jump back, bro, before we get too far. I feel like we kind of stayed on the suicide thing.
But
Back,
it's all tied in.
it's definitely all tied in. Emotional abandonment. What is? Have you guys been emotionally abandoned? I mean, I'm sure you have, but like, Joshy, have you had a moment like that, bro?
Emotional abandonment. In all honesty, I feel like everybody has before, whether you were one not doing it or not receiving it. When I was young, my father wasn't around, so I already had this natural emotional abandonment from who was supposed to be, the other
Your
half, the person
mentor,
supposed to look
somebody
up.
look up to it, right?
Exactly, because it was supposed to be the mother and the father. Those are the first ones you look up to as a child. So I didn't have that other half, so I had to find other means for that because I wasn't getting it from there. And it can stem from a lot of things because he could have had the same situation. My father could have had the same thing when he was growing up also. So may have not been emotionally available to me because maybe he didn't get the same thing in return when he was younger. So he didn't really know how to do so. So
How to
sometimes
reciprocate it.
a lot of times people might do it completely on accident or unaware that they're doing that to somebody because they don't know what it's like because some people never got that.
Generational pain and generational curses and shit, man. That's why it's important to, like, to break those things. Joshua said the ripple effect of suicide promotes suicide.
It could. I mean, man. I don't know. What are your thoughts, D-Nick? I see the hamster and the wheel in your head going.
No, I was thinking about me being emotionally abandoned. Like, did I ever feel emotionally abandoned? And I had a slew of other issues. I don't know if I would, and maybe emotional abandon was a part of it, but I wouldn't really. I don't know if I would can contextualize it like that, or label it like emotional abandonment. Um, I probably was more rejectful of like anything like like a lot of emotional support. I was one of those. I was very rejectful of like a lot of emotional support at the time, like growing up, and even most of my adulthood is only in recent years that I've kind of like, what, I'm just going to be as vulnerable as I'm allowed to be, as long as some of these people, like these things, don't because we all compromise at the end of the day, musically, and and work wise. It's but yeah, I've more been rejecting certain things because I didn't wanna. I didn't want to deal with the with loss. Like I didn't really want like loss. So I'm like, you know what? If I don't have, then I can't lose. So I was more resistant to any emotional support. Where it's like, oh, thank you. It's the thought that counts. I don't need nothing from you, but I
That was
appreciate you. I appreciate.
Is
the
it
part
is it
that
that
I
an
read
abandonment,
today.
or is that the where you building the wall up so you don't overcommit yourself?
Yeah, but
That
that's what
might
I was gonna
be.
say. Yeah, that was when I what I read today was there's two parts to it. Is the person that feels that they're being emotionally abandoned, and the person that actually does or that doesn't reciprocate or not reciprocate, doesn't receive the support, doesn't want to receive the
Mm,
support. The
right,
emotional
right,
Because
right.
support.
with a
And
reason,
I,
right? Because there's a
yeah,
reason.
so
Either I've
I
been
brought
hurt
all of this up
before.
today because I had like first of all I woke up this morning having a fucked up day, and I had to like really sit myself down. I went outside and I sat outside for like 45 minutes or so, and I just had to really just like
Take
get
that
out of the
time.
house and just sit down and get like try to get a peace of mind, but my mind was just going all over the place. And then we went to the zoo today, and this was again I hate keep bringing up this drinking shit, but what happened while I was at the zoo, I was so fucking disconnected with everything that was happening
Right.
and I wasn't able to have any fun. I wasn't able to fucking be a part of anything and everything. I felt like everything that was happening around me was hurting my feelings and fucking with me. And shit. Hold on. Because I kept trying to pull it together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking, man, what the fuck? I was talking to my wife and I was like, well, I don't understand this. Because I feel like I'm
What's
about to
going
have
on?
a full meltdown. And
Right.
she's like, well, maybe it's the crowd, or maybe it's this. And she goes, look, but you've always been like this. You never wanted to go anywhere. You never wanted to do any of this. And then when we go and do it, you would be like a stick in the mud and not be a part of anything. And that shit, even after that, when we walked out, I felt better. Like when we got out of there, I felt better, a little bit better. And as we, drove home, I felt a little bit more better. But then we got back to the house, and then it just kind of creeped up on me again. And I was just like, man, where in the fuck does that come from? And why in the fuck am I feeling that way? Because when my wife had said to me, "Oh, well, you always did that," and I was like, "Well, you know what? I always drank when we went to these places too," and I think that was a coping mechanism while I was
I
there
got,
going through that shit.
I got a question. Heat, was it a beautiful experience and an environment? Was it like your experience with like the scene and you with your old lady and all of that? What was that?
It was pretty much the whole family except for my other son.
Oh,
We were all there, but I was just I could not fucking I could not connect. Like I couldn't. Everybody was having fun, and I was just like,
Mm-hmm.
"Fuck, I can't do this. I can't." I was having a hard time interacting with my wife. I was having a really hard time interacting with my son.
Was that a moment of? Was that a mo? I mean, was that a moment of guilt?
I don't know what the fuck it was. I really
you
don't.
know, um, a lot of times I don't know if we all have met people, even ourselves have been abused and all of that type of stuff. Man, a lot of times when people have gone through like an abuse or something, one thing, like once they get good, like we've all heard the story, like why is she messing with that dude? Like she always messing with dudes that like slap her around or treat her like this, that, and the third. Because a lot of times, like the comfort is in the habit and the routine, and
Right.
when you experience something good, that feels like abuse because you're so not used to it. It's almost like when you eat like shit and then you eat something healthy and then it's
Right.
like, oh man, I ate some broccoli or I ate some cauliflower and my whole stomach is messed up. It's because you just let your system know, oh, this is the way I should be eating, and I've been
Right.
eating like shit before, and
Right.
my body was used to the shit, but now it just my whole system just got shocked. It was like, oh no, this is
Shocked.
the way you should be doing, and everything else in you is messed. That's why it's always mind, body, and soul. Is all that is connected because that's the same thing with experiences when if it's a when you hear about them dudes and them chicks that get with like shitty partners, and and they be with them for a long time, is dogging them out, and then they get with a nice person, a nice
They
girl, a
dog
nice
them.
guy, and
Right.
they just shit on her or shit on
Yep.
him, and it's because all that positivity feels like abuse because it's shocking your system in the way you should be treated, and it just
Right.
brings up all the way that you weren't treated. And
I
like
think
that
I think
that's
it's
the
also
same
like
thing with good moment.
I think maybe also too, like when we have and we've spoke about those moments here on the show about like I had one not that long ago where like you go out drinking and you get really, you just have like a really bad night and shit out, and the next day you're like sad, you're feeling remorse, you know what I'm saying? You're like, dude, this is not how I should be treating myself. This is not like how it should be. I want to get back into the comments real quick so we don't get too far away from the topics. Shadow Master said, "I've never been able to abandon my emotions, not even as a child. If I'm happy, sad, angry, or whatever, you gonna see it on my face if you pay attention." Joshua said, "Swindle for president." Shadow said, "Sounds like anxiety," and he was talking about you, heat
Yeah.
detector.
Well,
And Joshua said guilt.
I don't know. When my wife had went to the bathroom and I walked with her, I was gonna try to get a coffee, and when she came out, I was like, I don't know what the fuck is going on, but I feel like I just felt like I was being triggered, and I hate using that word triggered, but I felt like there was some shit going on all around me that was just fucking up my whole shit. And she was like, "Are you all right?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not all right. I feel like I'm about to fucking lose my shit." Like, and I was struggling because I couldn't really pinpoint like what the fuck was going on and what it was, because I started feeling really anxious and I don't know what the fuck. You know what I mean? And the effect of it is still lingering. Obviously, it's still lingering. And
What do you feel when that emotion hits you? Be like, you had a moment on the show. We all have our moments. When you had your moment right now, what were you feeling like? What was
lost, just lost.
Still confused about that moment?
Yeah,
that happened today.
Just lost. Like I don't.
Maybe with time, bro. As the days go by, you'll be able to think about that moment. You know what I'm saying, and be more secure with it to the point where the next time you guys go out, you'll be able to probably deal with it different. And it sounds like it's one of the first times that y'all do something like this since you stopped drinking. So
well, we went out before and everything, but apparently, whenever we've done those kind of things, went like to the museum or anything, I was from what I understand, been what I was told today, because I had no idea that I would just be like over off somewhere where everybody else is doing shit, and I'd just be standing there, and that's pretty much what I was doing today. But I was very aware that I was not being a part of everything. But as much as I wanted to like gravitate and be a part of everything, the more I wanted to gravitate towards it, the more I kept pulling the fuck back. Like
Yeah,
wanting to
man,
get more and more away.
you. It was a good. You just describe it as a good scene, and and that has a lot of effects. It could, you could resist it because you don't. It could be, and then it's not even like it's just one. It's multiple. So there's
Right.
part of guilt, like, man, this is beautiful. Do I deserve this? Oh man,
Right.
Yeah.
this is how
Right.
this is how life is supposed to be with my
Supposed to be.
family and
Right.
my loved ones.
Right.
And it just,
Right.
you ate something healthy, aka
Right.
experience something healthy, and all of the things that your body is used to not experience, like that it used to experiencing, that's unhealthy. You just shocked your system. It just shocked your system. And that's common, man. It's not you're not weird for it. You're not
No,
strange
I
for it.
don't feel
That
like I'm
happens.
weird or anything like that. This is another reason why I chose the topic, because I didn't know if it was me that was putting the wall up, or if it was if I felt like, okay, well, nobody sees it in my face that I'm over here and I'm struggling. You know what I mean? Because everybody's over there just having the fucking time of their life, and I'm over here struggling like a motherfucker to keep it together. And I was going through a lot of different levels of emotions and feelings and thoughts and shit. And part of this journey that I'm on right now is dealing with a lot of shit. You know what I mean? Because I've done a lot
Yeah,
of things. I've done a lot of fucked
yeah.
up shit.
Real
And
talk,
so
right?
I understand and know that a lot of it I just got to eat. You know what I mean? Just from
Right.
like just conversations on this show and shit, you know, I know that I got to eat shit. I know that's part of it. I mean, for lack of better terms, eating shit. But some of it, you just, you know, kind of like what you reap, what you sow, kind of thing, and you have to
Right.
be accountable for it, and you have to be like, all right, well, you know, I did that shit, and now I got to deal with that shit.
Yeah, that's
Man,
true,
it's
man.
big, man. It's like you know how and I'm assuming I don't want to speak for nobody, but I'm assuming everybody feel. Y'all know how sometimes it's hard for us to take compliments. I know it
Yes,
is
it
for
is.
me.
Yeah.
Like it's it's just it's a magnified version of that. Like when people give you a compliment from, especially like most of us is in hip hop, so it's like when someone give you a compliment in hip hop, you know, we're so used to people like, oh man, your old ass still doing that, you a bum in your mama basement, da 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 da. We're so used to that it's just like, dang, when someone give you a compliment, like it's a shock to your system. You're like,
Right.
ooh, it felt good. Oh my God. Like, you know, like, man, I could cry. And I'm trying to keep my like it's all of that, man. It's just,
Or the
you know, that's what I
negative,
say,
or
man.
the negative part of you, D Nick, is saying I don't fucking
I
believe
don't
them.
deserve it.
They hating or
Or I
some
don't
shit like
deserve it.
right. They like low key like they low key hating. Shadows got a few comments real quick. Shadow said that's anxiety heat. There's something that's triggering your anxiety when you are around particular people. Shout out to Ricardo De La Rosa tuning in as well. Joshua said, "Gotta love people from afar, baby," and we're gonna get back to that real quick. Your personal being is well-being and peace is key. Shadow said you could be subconsciously expecting something bad to happen, and your mental goes into defense mode. Small fries, baby. But I want to go back to what he said, what Joshua said about gotta love people from afar. I get that point of it, bro, where you're putting up a wall so that you don't fucking get let down by somebody else by giving people too much. But I feel like that also it's bad like for love and relationships, man. Like, you know, because if you're just always with that wall up, when are you ever gonna have something like, when do you have something real with somebody if you always have that wall up, or you're not accepting love, or you're not
Yeah, I kind of agree with that because you got to think about it. Like when you get in a relationship, you pretty much got to have a trust fall with your emotions with that person. You have to have to have trust that they're gonna support you at least emotionally and understand what you're trying to do in this world and how your mind thinks and how you feel and how you act, because it all goes together. If they can't, you know, understand that and support that, then it's gonna make it very complicated at times.
Yeah,
Real
Bob
talk.
Rock said, I love people, love performing in front of crowds, yet I kind of hate being observed in public. I wish I could chill in public and be invisible. Yeah, man. And in this game, and we're talking about that off camera before the show, or actually on the Shy City Cypher podcast. In this game, man, you can't be like that. You know what I'm saying? I know like you would want to be like that, but if you want to be someone that's successful and it's got a good network of people, you have to be like somebody that's personable, and you can't be standing up against the wall. And I think you got to be able to fight that somehow, whether however it is that you do it, whether with therapy or talking with the homies on the check-in or whatever it is. Like you do have to get past that, man, because you know that's the only way to be successful in this shit, or successful in your words, is by being able to network and be personable with people. But I feel you, man. Sometimes, you know, I think that's why when I go to shows, I go knowing already that I'm ready for that environment. I'm ready for the fucking people coming up. I'm ready for all that shit when I'm going there, because I already know. On days where I really haven't felt it, I won't go. I won't go because I already know I'm gonna go over there and fucking not talk to nobody, or that's impossible. But still, Whoop De Whoop Sports Podcast. Shout out to you, man, in the comments. He said you should give yourself a pat on the back for doing something that you aren't used to doing and getting out of your comfort zone. Don't give up on yourself. We see you working. Keep doing you. That's what's up.
Thumbs up, 100. Yeah.
Well, I'll say
Yeah.
this, in not response, but just because I don't feel like it was a wall I was putting up there. Like I said, I was very aware of what was happening, but I didn't feel I had control over what was happening. I didn't feel like
You don't.
I didn't.
You didn't.
No. I'm saying like control even of myself of what was happening. Like, you know what I mean? I felt completely out of control, And for a person who I like
Control.
myself being under control. It was mad crazy, but then it wasn't. It was a lot of different feelings. It was a lot of different emotions that were going on at that particular time. It wasn't that I was specifically trying to put up a wall or felt like I was putting up a wall, because like I had told my wife, I'm trying really hard.
It didn't sound like you was putting up, you didn't describe it like you was putting up a wall. That didn't sound like that at all. It sounded like, that your body was having a reaction to this. Like your
Yeah,
body was totally having a reaction to this, and it didn't sound like a wall at all, you know.
yeah.
So,
That's what
brothers,
I told her. I said, I don't know what the fuck, and I don't know, shit. Like I said, I even now still struggling with pieces of it, that are still lingering, and just really in my mind wanting to understand where that shit came from, because clearly if that shit has affected me, and I've been with my wife for 25 years,
shout out.
she's dealt
That's
with
real.
that
That's cool.
with me
That's dope.
forever. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
cool.
And man, that means to me, that means that shit was, it has to have affected me in so many other different areas and different things. I may not have had the same visceral response, you know what I mean, but it has affected me, I'm sure of it, in different areas, in relationships and aspects of life, and when I'm doing shit. And that troubled me. So all of it was just troubling to me, just in general, trying to understand it and wrap my brain around it. It was really troubling, because it felt like the more I was pushing myself to engage, the more I just kept fucking falling back. Like we'd be walking and be walking by everybody, and I'd try to fucking talk, and shit sounded like, in my mind I was sounding like, what the fuck?
Corny.
What am I talking about? What am I doing? And then before I knew it, everybody's walking up there, and I'm like 10, 15 feet behind, and I'm just standing there, and I'm just like walking slow, and I'm just like looking around, and I'm like, what the fuck? My wife would linger back, or my son would linger back, and I'm like, you good? I'm like, yeah, I'm all right, I guess. I don't know. Get back up with everybody, and then it just kept happening. When they'd stop and look at animals, man, I'd start with them, and then I'd almost unconsciously I'm literally 20 feet away now, and I'm just standing there with my fucking hands in my pockets, just looking like a fucking, I don't know what. And I don't even know what I was feeling or what I was thinking about, because there was so much shit racing around in my brain. I'm not trying to make this all about me, but this is why I felt the need to bring this topic up, because I don't know if I was what I was feeling, but it felt like some type of emotional abandonment. And because I started to thinking about my mother, and I started thinking about the father that I've never met, and just things of that nature, and abuse as a child, and shit, and just I don't know, like you were talking about earlier, D-Nick, about not feeling, kids not feeling loved, or not, things like that. And I think a lot of times growing up for myself, putting up this exterior wall, like, I'm good, I'm okay, and I'm okay, and I'm okay. But now that I'm not drinking, which I hate fucking bringing that up, but it's true that I was using that alcohol as a mask, or as a
Part of the process.
Yeah. Right. And so like now it's like, if it ain't one fucking thing, it's another. And it feels like all of this shit for all these years is now just piling the fuck up day by day by day by day by day. And I'm looking around and I'm going, what the fuck? And I'm trying to deal with this, and then I start thinking about this, and then I start thinking about that, and then I try to keep myself busy with this to not think about that, but then something else happens, and then I'm fucking triggered about this. And, oh man, it's a fucking mess. What?
Let's I want to do something, talk about something. Let's turn the camera around for a minute and talk about what somebody could do, because we always talk about resolving things and solutions to things, because that's what the point of this show is about. If you're feeling emotionally abandoned, and we'll go around the table, what's your advice on what someone could do to not feel that way? Whatever it be, maybe an exercise, maybe just in your opinion what it is. What can someone do to not feel that way? Because there's people listening that are feeling emotionally abandoned, and maybe something that one of us could say to help them out with that. Like, hey, look, try this, do this, do this. Let's talk about it, man. What do you think, Josh? You
Honestly, you need to find some type of like an outlet. Uh, what I would do is if I'm like in my thoughts or in my emotions, I like to go out, just go for a walk, just be as close as nature as I possibly can. If it's trees there, I'm walking that road. Because sometimes you need to evaluate yourself and how you see yourself. Because sometimes you might project, certain things that might not be the case. Because sometimes, like I said, a person may not be knowing that they're not being they have no idea that they're abandoning you emotionally because they are unaware of their own emotions. So sometimes you got to put in that effort to show them to be vulnerable enough so they can learn how to support you. So sometimes you gotta go tit for tat sometimes. But yeah, just find something you can do by yourself and take in your own energy and the energy around you.
Or if you find that place of peace. OT,
Exactly.
what do you think, brother, man? What advice you give for somebody that's like that, man, feeling emotionally abandoned? How can you help them out with some advice to not feel that way?
I'm gonna use the same thing the brother just said. Is get out and do some sports or something. In some of the past things I've done, it's been some kind of physical exertion, burpees, whatever you can get to, because that'll start those feel good hormones inside and get away. And definitely breathing. We talk about my 5 second rule thing I always talk about, but just getting out, getting some fresh air in you, and gives you a clear perspective of what's going on, helps you evaluate the situation you're dealing with.
That's what's up, man. Take some time for yourself is the message that I'm getting. D
Yes,
Nick,
sir.
what do you think about that?
Man, I don't have like quick fixes or like do the quick because it's a process and a journey. Like for me, especially when I do sessions, with people, I'll say this like to me understanding is the big thing, so if you want to understand the unknown, you first study the known, so you can you take your time and kind of figure out that because that'll like dictate what needs to be happen. Now if you're talking about like something like a positive anger expression, then yeah, like what OT and what the brother, I'm sorry, I don't get your name, bro. um
Joshy.
Josh,
Joshy. Yeah.
Joshy, right? Thank you. Like that, like burpees. I know when like some of like my I hate calling them clients, but some of the students that I work with, like if they really about to like lose it, we get the focus mitts, and and they just punch it out and talk to me as they punching. You know what I'm saying? Control of breath is always control of energy. So, your control of your breath is very important and that, dictates your energy. But man, I don't have, I don't have like just a general, I don't like to throw those type of things. It really depends on what it is. But I would always start with like understanding, like, controlling your breath and, and contextualize, just have solid understanding of what's going on. Like, you know.
That's what's up. That's what's up. I think that as far as that goes, feeling emotionally abandoned and something that we always hear when we're either at somebody's funeral that we know that we love, or in other situations, is always remember the positive. And that's what I would say to that about feeling emotionally abandoned. Yeah, there's gonna be parts of your life that are negative and things that you're going through where that people that in your life that are making you feel that way, but there's also people in your life or might be that that are there for you, that are good to you, and just other things you got in your life, things that you might have to look forward to. There's you can replace, it's probably easier said than done, but try to replace that feeling like that and just remember that there is good things in your life and there is people that care about you, and anybody that's listening, man, you aren't alone, bro. Like there's people out there that love you. Like taking that, doing, going to the extreme, man. There's always somebody out there that loves you, man. You're not alone, and we're here for you. And like we say on the show, man, no matter what it is you're going through, man, if as cliche as it may sound, if you can hold on till Sunday to the check-in, let us know what's going on. We'll make the topic about for the show about what you're going through. We won't say no names, and we'll be able to talk about it. So at least you have something to look forward to, some positivity. But yeah, I'll just say that, man. Like if you're going through that situation, things aren't looking good in life. Remember the goods, the positives, your kids, someone else, your sister, your brother, someone you may have. Just remember that you are loved.
They call that not thought redirection, but it's like when you redirect your thoughts to think of in some
Positive thought replacement.
There you go. Yeah. But even that can be difficult. You know what I'm saying? That can be very difficult. Breathing can be difficult. You know what I mean? That like D-Nick said, there's really not a one-shot fix or
Gotta go, brothers.
a quick.
All right, OT.
All right, OT, man. We appreciate you, brother. Salute. Thank you for being in there.
But it is a practice, though. It's not that's where I'm terrible, like with the one shot, because we not, for us as like as counselors, we're not like, they don't advise us do that. We don't do, like, because it's a process, and by it being a process, that means it has to be a practice. You have to practice doing this. That's why I'm like, nah, man. I didn't like, from what you described, your get your feelings being at the zoo. I didn't sound like a wall. It sounded like, oh man, you was there. It sounded like you were really, really there. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then it just hit you. It just shocked your system.
Right.
And now comes the hard part. You got to practice how to adjust with all of that. It's
Yeah.
how to
Well,
you know
as, I don't mean to cut you off, bro, but like as I
you
said
know
earlier that morning, I was already like I always say on this show, I wake up, try to be, not try to be, but do better than I did yesterday, and so with that, like I woke up, I felt cool, and then just like out of nowhere again, just feeling like shit and stuff, and so I went outside and I pulled a chair up, I let the dogs out, and I just sat in the chair, and I was like just chilling. And then started feeling really fucked up again. So I started breathing and just breathing and breathing, and that helped. But it helped for a minute, and then the shit just kept coming, and so I just kept doing that, and then I don't know. Then it was just like time to go, and it was just like, all right, put on this happy face, whatever in the fuck, get in the car, we go, and I remember feeling like really anxious getting there, and then everything else from the morning started to creep into that too. So there was a multitude of things that were going on in my head. You know what I mean? Some of it I can't pinpoint. Some of it I know what the fuck was going on, but it was really difficult to keep myself in order, like, and maybe that's like part of why I kept backing the fuck up, because I kept feeling like I was about to lose my shit. And part of me backing up and getting away from everybody was I was breathing as well, but I was really trying to maintain myself because I felt overly emotional. I felt like I was about to scream, cry, do something. And then at one point, one guy walked by me, and I swear to God, I felt like kicking that motherfucker in the stomach for no fucking reason and starting a brawl. And I don't know what the fuck that was, because I literally, like, he was walking by, and I literally, like, twitched for a second, and I was like, oh, my God, what the fuck am I doing? And then I backed up more from everybody, and I was like, what the fuck? Because I don't know what the fuck was going on with me. I really don't. And that's really the biggest part that I'm struggling with, because I'm, like I said, it's still lingering a little bit, but I feel, I feel a little better, I don't feel like I felt earlier.
right.
But it's still lingering, and I think like I'm just trying to really doing my best to try to figure it the fuck out, and maybe it's not for me to figure out by myself. And that's why another reason why like I really appreciate and love this show so much, because there is the camaraderie, there is a place to be vulnerable, a place to talk, and a place to really kind of dissect things and hear different opinions and different thoughts on it. It does help. But you know, I don't know. I'm gonna have to seek some goddamn therapy or something. And I thought about you, D Nick, when you offered the men's getaway thing.
Yeah.
I think I would serve me well. You know what I mean? With dealing with all of this shit, and then dealing with family problems, and dealing with just shit. You know what I mean? Just life. With just waking, like I feel like, man, I was looking at somebody the other day, and they were talking. And they're like, yeah, I've been at my job, 25 fucking years and this and that. And I've been doing music for longer than that. And it's like, what the fuck have I done? Then I started feeling extra guilty. Like, what the fuck have I done with my life? Like, I ain't got no retirement program. I ain't got no IRA. I ain't got shit. Like, what the fuck? Thinking about that shit. Just a lot. I don't know.
No, I understand. I went through uh, a, a similar, it's not quite that. I just went through a similar, get down with, like when you're talking about the music stuff, and it's just like, oh my God, it's so, and we've done all right, but because we've done not all right, we've done good. Like me and the fellas have done really, really good. We get to regularly travel and hit the road and all of that stuff. But man, it when you see how the sausage is made, it
Right.
just like man, it makes you feel like what the fuck, like it was like man, hip hop stinks, like
Snakes.
you really, it gives you an anxiety, and then you've been doing it for so long, and then especially if you're like moderately successful, like you know what I'm saying, and it's just like man, like God, it stinks, like you know what I'm saying. It's like oh
Right.
man, you hate it, but you love it.
Yeah.
You feel like a fool. So I no, I totally get. I was going through that like crazy, like recently. Shout out to Bob Rock. I had to call Bob Rock about it. I was like, yo man, this is killing me. You know what I'm saying?
Life is
Right.
tough, and we all got our journey, man. Like and I don't wish bad upon anybody. I hope all of us feel better tonight. I hope that anybody watching this feels better, feels good, gets something out of it. But we're about to end the show, and as we do, we're gonna give them last words. We're gonna start OT, then go D Nick, then go Joshy, then go motherfucking Jizzo, and then myself. Close it out. OT, last
All right,
thoughts.
all right, all right. How you guys doing? It's been a great show, fellas. All the people that's been checked in with us, we appreciate you. My thing on this is we as we unwrap this, as you with your shows, as we unpack this, as you go up in your attic, what's in your head, what you're dealing with, take your time and appreciate it. Be in the moment and just think about it. And I said, if you need some help, like we've been talking about, reach out and find somebody you can talk to who's you trust and believe in, and you'll be okay.
All right. We appreciate those thoughts, brother. D Nick, my man.
Man, always I'm a broken record. Context, compassion, nuance, and data. Like to, put things in its proper perspective and be a hugger. It's not just touchy feely. To hug is to acknowledge, embrace, so you can let go.
Mm.
Mhm, mhm,
Acknowledge, embrace, and let go.
mhm.
Joshy, last thoughts about tonight?
Yeah, I would say just learn how to communicate with not only the people that you care about, but with yourself. That's very
Okay.
important. You have to learn. Sometimes you have to go down that rabbit hole of your own emotions to understanding yourself better. Sometimes it get frustrating, but you have to push through it. Because the better you learn yourself, the better that you can communicate with people.
Word.
Nice.
I feel that. Okay, Jizzo.
I wanted to read something and then comment after it really quick. It said, "What does emotional abandonment look like in a relationship?" It says your partner shows no interest in physical intimacy and does not respond to your expressions of affection, lack of empathy. Your partner is not interested in what you think or feel or in knowing what is going on in your life. He is dismissive of your feelings and experiences and does not show any empathy towards you. My final thoughts are that if you are on the end that is not giving, that is not being there, I don't think that if the person that you love or whoever is in the situation is feeling this way, that's a final. You can always switch it. You can always turn it around. I just gave y'all the definition, man. Start showing more interest. Even if you start slow if you have to. Some things you can't build trust back up in a day. You can't build up an emotional abandonment in a day, but you can start, and you can start slow and attempt to build that. Because if once you realize, like, you know, we spoke about in the podcast about not realizing, sometimes Joshi said sometimes you don't realize what you're doing. It's a natural reaction to what you've been shown and what you lived in your life as you were growing up. Once you realize it, these are the things. Do that. Start talking to them, your partner, your wife, brother, sister, somebody that you really love. Start piece by piece and build that relationship up. You can do it. We all could do it. Just take it day by day and build that relationship back, man. We don't want nobody to feel emotionally abandoned, or, you know, we don't want to feel that way.
Man, appreciate those words, man. Thank you for reading that, too, for those that didn't or don't know what that means or what it feels like. Shit, where do I start? And how do I end it? I'll say this. As I say every show, do your best. You know, wake up every morning and be a better version of yourself from the day before. Be better today than you were yesterday. Do your best at that. And that within itself can be hard. It can be very hard. It can be very difficult because, you know, not all days are going to be good, you know, but you got to find some type of silver lining. Love those who love you. Be open. Be open to suggestion. Be open to compliments. Be open to love. Be open to understanding. Be open to accountability. Be open to everything. Be aware of yourself, as Joshi was saying. Take the time out, because I don't think had I not taken that time, that 45 minutes, even though it was a shitty ass 45 minutes, I took that 45 minutes, and had I not taken that 45 minutes and was just sat outside by myself with my thoughts, I don't know how well the day would have went. Even though the day was shitty, I don't know that it would have been, it probably would have been a lot worse. But I did take that time out, and I did breathe throughout it. And it's a process. It's an everyday process. It's as the great D. Nick would say, it's muscle memory. You know what I mean? Habit. You know what I'm saying? So Get in the habit. You know what I mean? Even get into the habit of loving yourself. One of the things that I'm finding out when I'm on my journey of having this clear mind without anything self-medicating is that finding out who I am and really embracing who I am. I think that's one of the hardest parts, is really embracing who you are as a person, and then taking that and embracing that and running with it and being open to whatever that comes with that. You know what I mean? If you got to eat a little shit, you're going to eat a little shit. Yeah, it's going to be all right. You know what I mean? It ain't the first bump in the road that you've hit. You'll be all right. Talk to some people. Talk to your friends. Get some help. And, go hug somebody, goddammit. You know what I mean?
It is. I like that.
Man.
All right.
This has been the check-in, man. I appreciate you, brother, so much. Thank you so much for everybody, anybody out there listening, man. If you having a tough time, man, we here every Sunday. Check in with us, man.
8:30 p.m.
Yes. Love you guys, man. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being a part of the show, man. Thank you, Josh, for sitting in, man.
Thank you for having me.
This has been a beautiful thing, man. Once again, man. Check on your people.
Bless.